In today's show, we discuss, should people lose their benefits if they can't pass drug, alcohol, tobacco and vaping tests?
And now, the TNT Talk Show, daring to go where other podcasts fear to tread.
Hello, I'm Tony Fasulo and I share the stage with my esteemed friend and colleague, Taya Boya. Taya, hello, my friend, once again. I hope you're keeping safe and well.
Yeah, what the hell, Tony? What you gonna do, eh? It's sad to see the back of Dr. Isaiah
Yay!
Henry. Hello, audience.
Yay!
But I've got something for the audience.
Oh, no. Please tell
Actually-
me something as bad as that.
No, sorry.
Something as bad as Dr. Isaiah Henry.
Oh, you want
Mutatemba.
something as bad
No,
as...
I don't.
Oh, right, because it isn't, unfortunately.
Oh,
no, this
thank
is
goodness.
this is far more staid.
Oh,
All that
okay.
sort of thing. Now, what it is, I just thought to myself, I came across a strange fact the other day.
Okay.
And I looked it up, and it turned out to be true and all that. And I thought, you know what? There must be these sort of strange facts floating around. Wouldn't it be fun to share them with the audience? You learn something new every week,
Okay.
possibly. And this week, you may know this, by the way, because you're weird like that. Do you happen to know the most popular name for a newborn boy in England and Wales as of 2023?
The most popular name
For a newborn boy in England and Wales from 2023.
Is it a Bible name? John? Matthew? Luke?
It's not a Bible name. It's not a Bible name. Not
Really?
a biblical name. No.
I don't know. I'm flummoxed. I don't know this answer.
Well, I'll send you the link like that to share with our audience, which I'll be
Okay.
doing every time I say it's a fact, I will back it up, guys.
Okay.
So, yep.
Yep.
And it is, in fact, Muhammad.
Oh,
The number one
Okay.
boy's name in England and Wales as of 2023 is Muhammad.
okay.
And there's the link from the
Right.
Office of National Statistics,
Okay.
more or less.
And what do you mean by that? Even though it has
It's a
surprised
fact. And there we go. It's a surprising fact. You couldn't
Okay.
guess. I
No.
didn't guess.
No.
Very, 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 very few people would guess.
Interesting. Is that
And on that
because
particular page, there are all
it-
sorts of interesting
But isn't
nuggets.
that also to do with the fact that even though there are a minority number of Asian children being born in comparison to British children, is it because the propensity to name a child Muhammad is literally one of the only names that they will pick for boys? So let's put it this way: most
Every
boys
Tom, Dick,
will
and
be
Harry,
called
To
Muhammad.
mix up metaphors.
Every Tom, Dick, and Harry.
Every Tom, Dick, and Harry is called Muhammad.
Oh dear. No, I mean, it's only because of that reason, surely. It's
I don't know. It
because
doesn't say. It
No,
just
because-
gives the statistics and says these are the facts. So I don't
because
know.
if you were to look at the complete list of registered baby names, then the Anglo-Saxon names effectively can say that. You'd look at all of those and there'd be a big list, Tom, Brian, Peter,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. Whereas for Asian people, that list is far smaller. So by that reason, then the number's going to be higher for Muhammad. But I'd like to see the stats in terms of how many altogether are listed in quantity. And then we could actually do that ourselves. We could look at the list and go, well, that's number one. This is number two.
It's all
and
there
so
on the page, on the link I
Oh,
sent
okay. In that case, then that would be something we can look at
you.
and
It's all there.
say, what sort of percentage is it, and so forth. But okay, interesting fact. Is that a fact or a factoid?
What's the difference?
I don't know.
Nah.
I'm seeing factoids. Well, I didn't know what the meaning was there.
Well, I'll look it up as we're going along, but I believe a fact is a factoid. A factoid is a fact. A factoid, in my opinion, is the same thing, but we'll double check.
Okay. Okay. Anyway, let's move on with today's show. And this is one that Tayo selected.
Yeah, apparently.
You did.
What was I thinking?
I don't know, your topic. And the topic is, should people lose benefits if they can't pass drug, alcohol, tobacco, vaping tests?
I actually want you to start this time because the reason I'm sort of meh about this is that I've read the arguments for and I've read the arguments against. And to be honest, they're pretty good arguments on both sides of the table. So being a facts and evidence man, I'm stuck. I can argue either position, I believe. So at the beginning, I was initially very firmly for the proposition that if you can't pass a drug test, an alcohol, tobacco, vaping test, you shouldn't get any benefits. But having read the counter arguments, I thought, yeah, actually. So that's why I want to know where you are. Then I'll take the opposite position.
Well, I think there could be room for reform, of course, in this space, because I can understand why this is something that could be raised as an issue. Because if you think about it, the benefit amount that's put out is huge. I mean, we're talking mammoth size amounts of benefits that are put out by the government for people. Now, the downside is there accountability on that amount of money? Does it get checked, or is it just given out? Do you see what I mean? And the public at large, because things are tight, are sort of questioning, perhaps, where's our hard-earned taxes being spent? Is it just being given away to people who then not necessarily don't deserve it, but they're not making use of that money, and they're using it for vices such as drugs, alcohol, tobacco, vaping, etc. So could there be perhaps tighter controls on issuing benefits? Or does that, if we were to go down that road, what does that mean for the benefit if you can call them that, the claimant, or what I don't know the term for someone who would receive benefits? They're not a benefitor, are they? Benefitee?
No,
I don't know. But the person receiving the benefits, I mean, at the end of the day, there's a lot of people out there who are just at the low end of society, not through fault of their own necessarily, but it could be via different reasons. I mean, for instance, they could have ended up there because of, illness, for instance, or a injury, or a vulnerability where they've family members have passed away and left them with nothing. And so there are many, many different cases, and to single out people as people who are scroungers, if this is what this topic is sort of floating along, say, well, why are they getting money? They should be justifying their reason to collect money, but they don't have to, because they are down and out more for a reason. Yes, there are a number of people who do abuse it, of course, but the vast majority do not. They are just at a poor ebb in society and need help by the wealthier majority. And it is a wealthier majority, because anybody that's got a job, I know people argue it and they sometimes see it on social media. Oh no, these people on benefits are earning way more than everyone else. That's not strictly true. There are conditions there.
I can't find a pen to write down your points. Well, because you're not letting me jump in and say anything.
No, please do. I mean, you can interrupt. We often do.
Yeah, well, I try not to.
Oh, okay.
So,
You're being very polite today. I think you haven't got a dog in the fight. That's why. Normally, when you're quite bombastic. You do your Trump impersonation, and you just
bombastic. very fantastic.
You do. You jump
I
in,
don't think
talk over me. Our listeners will vouch for that.
That's not what
Come
bombastic means, man. I'm
on.
sure of
I
it.
know it doesn't mean that, but you know what I
Okay.
mean. You talk over the top.
No, I don't actually, but never mind. Okay, so I do talk over you, and so, but I reject all that, and we'll argue about it a different time. I want to go back to what you said about deserve. See, this is a word that really gets my goat. Deserve is something you earn. So just being born and just being alive doesn't give you the right to deserve anything. What have you done to earn it? If you're going to get benefits, which the hardworking man, and in some cases the hardworking woman, is paying for, you really ought to deserve it. You really ought to be doing your best to use the helping hand to pull yourself up by your bootstraps, so that you are not leeching off the rest of society. That is deserving it. Then you've earned it. But if you're taking that money and, for example, going into the betting shop and throwing it all away, you're not deserving of it, because there are people who are working 2 jobs to put food on the table and to keep the family going, and you are taking out of that. And you know what? I was shocked to find out that, I mean, this is supposedly a first world country. I've been doing a lot of research on China. I now know we're not a first world country. We're a second world country now. But a lot of people don't know that until they start really looking into China. China's a first world country. We're no longer a first world country. We're a second world country.
But what's America? Because they're not a first world country. They're first world country for the elites.
I
but
think
not for anybody else.
Second tier, second world country, rapidly heading towards third world country because Trump's foolish tariff thing is gonna. I think, I'm not an economist, but from what I can tell, just ordinary common sense, I'm like, I don't think that's gonna work, pal.
No.
But he surprised me before. Hey, who knows? Anyway, back to the topic at hand. We 40%. Sorry, it wasn't 40%. It was almost like a third of children in the UK go to bed hungry.
Really?
This is. Well, I'm going to look for the stats because I've said it. I want this to be
a third of children go
to bed
hungry.
I want this to be a fact-based kind of episode where we've
how is that even established?
Well, because, I suppose the government does takes polls and whatnot. I mean, what if you are claiming benefits? One of the reasons would be insufficient food or something. Let's look it up. Anyway, the number was astonishing, and what it was I heard somebody posing a question, and a member of parliament. This was a member of parliament asking a question. In a country, this wealthy, how can a third of our children go to bed, hungry? Or X number of children, whatever it was, go to bed hungry. Now, I was shocked by the number. It was a he, the MP gave, but unfortunately, he didn't cite his sources. Do you see?
Yeah.
So I'll try to find.
They don't tend to. They have to be truthful. They don't have to, unless they choose to, in Parliament.
Did what?
They don't have to say they're.
Yeah, it's just nice.
I
hate the word nice. It was just good so that everybody else can follow along by looking at the sources and going, well, where did you get that from? So that the fact is that someone who's working really hard and still can't just misses the mark, and they have to skip meals and things like this. You can't then take their money and then go and gamble or take drugs or whatever.
But they don't.
So this is the problem.
I get that. I don't. A lot of those people, unfortunately, who are on benefits, aren't aware. They think, well, it's coming from the government, but they don't understand that it's actually coming from people working jobs that gives the money to the government, and then the government then dishes it out. So the government have a responsibility to us, because we give them the taxpayers' money to deal with. They have a responsibility on whom they give it to, and to make sure that adequate checks are in place so it isn't abused in this manner. Because obviously the recipients, we as upstanding citizens, and I'm talking we as the majority of people in the UK, we're good people. I mean, a good human being, he's got qualities like empathy, integrity, humility, altruism, resilience. I mean, these are great
Doesn't
qualities.
sound like Tayo.
No, it doesn't sound like you at all. I have to agree. But
Integrity,
the majority of people...
Integrity, yeah, obviously. In spades. Integrity in spades. What else would you say?
I said
it was
empathy.
when you got to the wishy-washy cushy stuff.
What? Empathy, right? This is the ability to understand and share the feelings of others. That's what a lot of people in the country have. Integrity, adhering to moral and ethical principles.
That's me, down to a T.
Humility, recognizing one's limitations and valuing the perspectives of others. I'm not sure about that one.
you know something? Seriously, I've recognized this in myself, that once I attain humility, I will be perfect.
Oh dear. Our audience are now groaning at their headsets or wherever it is they're consuming our content on and going, oh no, Tayo's at it again. Anyway, let's go back and reframe what I was saying. These are common traits amongst the majority of the UK population. So altruism is one of them. We're a selfless concern for the well-being of others. So we give, and that's why charities are surviving, because we give. We're a nation of givers, and that does also include people who are receiving benefits. However, I'll caveat it again, we still want to know that the people receiving those benefits are receiving it because they need it, not that they will frit it away in the things we've already discussed: alcohol, drugs, tobacco, vaping, etc.
Well, I hear what you're saying. Whilst I was listening, by the way, multitasking here. As for altruism, I think I am quite altruistic, but it manifests itself through a patina. I think that's how it's pronounced, Patina, patina or patina, of logic and reason. I am always altruistic towards those, again, that word, deserving of altruism. So I am altruistic to the hardworking parents trying to look after their children. And by the way, we need children, we need the population. They are actually doing us a favor having kids, because someone has got to look after the old fogies like us when we end up in the old people's home. Or rather, not us, we got our own kids, but you know what I mean. The older generation, someone's got to look after them. We need a younger generation to look after the older generation, and so on and so forth, which is how it should be. So they are doing us a favor by not being selfish and just thinking of themselves and blowing all their money on holidays overseas and, whatever, on a hedonistic lifestyle. They take on the responsibility of having kids, of going to work, of paying their taxes. I want to be altruistic towards them. Now, every now and then, things happen, recessions, so on and so forth. Bad things happen. Companies go under, whatever. Yes, such people require assistance, and we don't want them to turn their hands to criminality or anything. So we say, okay, we are going to help. Actually, even inside that altruistic motive is the selfish motive of we don't want our population strewn with criminality and with criminals, with desperados. So
that's not altruistic, though.
Yeah, I'm just trying to say that, yes, there's an element of altruism in let's help our fellow man, but it's also quite sensible. If I help my fellow man, he doesn't have to pick up a gun and go robbing. So, it's also at the same time self-serving. However,
that's a different word then. It's not altruism, because altruism is acts of kindness without expecting anything in return. Whereas,
you might not expect it, but it's a fact.
But no, that means you're not altruistic then. Altruistic is purely for that. You're doing it because it's the right thing to do. You're not expecting anything back. Now, granted, altruism is quite a tough trait to have. Most people actually don't have altruism because Like you said, they expect something in return. And it has been said that true altruism doesn't really exist.
No, it doesn't.
Because-
I don't think it does.
No,
Even if you help an old lady across the street, you don't expect anything. I hope.
No, you
Because
don't.
that would be disgusting.
But you're getting a
dopamine hit.
yes. So you're getting something in return. So yeah, there is a bit of an argument regarding altruism, but in all
Shall I tell you the
intents and
test?
purposes,
Shall I tell you the test for altruism?
go on.
I read this in some philosophical book or something. It said, imagine this. You could save someone, a loved one, from going to hell by taking their place. But they'd never know it was you. No one would ever know that you did it for them.
That's
Would you do it?
That's true altruism.
Yeah, would you do it? You know what? If my loved one was dumb enough to get herself into trouble with God, I'm sorry, man, she's going to go solo on this, man. Because even if she would know, I'm still not going to be like, yeah, hell, yeah, no. I'll pray for you. I will, every day I will beseech God to forgive you. But I'm not going to hell, man. Sorry. Okay? Pass.
Interesting.
Yeah. I just want everyone to know up front. Hey, this is my integrity. Up front. Hey, I'm not doing it. Okay? No. Whoa, that's a biggie. Okay, that's not lending me a $5. Okay. That's a serious one, man. Jeez.
Okay. Let's go back. I mean, obviously, we've discussed just briefly people's, human nature, the good qualities of a human. That's why.
No, that was you, really.
Well,
I didn't buy it,
No, but that is part of the reason why.
You've just disproved it yourself.
No,
you've just said there's no such thing as altruism.
Not true altruism.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
so
but
I'm saying
there's still empathy.
Yes.
There's still empathy.
Yeah.
There's still integrity, humility.
Yeah.
There's still good fairness and justice. These are good traits. They're all still there, and we want fairness, for instance, for people who aren't on their feet at the moment and deserve a helping hand. We want them to be deserve a helping hand during the crisis. Yes.
Not
Yes,
everybody
they do deserve
deserves
help.
Not everyone deserves. So the ones who deserve, they should get it. It's Tayo's position. If you deserve it, you should get it. And the test here that we're considering, and it sounds as if you're really basically on the side of no, don't give it to them, because that's what it sounds like to me, is if you're spending the money on things that are not attuned towards getting you back on your feet, then maybe you don't get the money. I mean, a long time ago, I did talk about workhouses and so on. You bring back the workhouses.
Well,
but we're becoming such a automated society. We probably don't need workhouses. Do we still need cheap labor?
Well, what I saw just the other day was incredible. I saw
those robots. Yeah,
the robots. Wow, those are available now
in China, by the way, guys. Wasn't it?
No, the UK.
UK.
That was UK.
What? Sorry, those robot servants.
The two pairs of robots, not the servant ones. The pairs were the UK ones.
I took the ones putting things away.
Yes, they were UK.
That's what I'm calling servants.
UK.
Wow.
So that was a UK company.
Well done, UK.
But it's happening in loads of countries are doing it now. And just for the benefit of our audience, what I'm talking about, we had a clip, which I don't know if we still got it. If we have, I will share it.
It's still on our WhatsApp, yes.
Oh, wonderful. We can share that. It showed two robots working as a pair, putting away shopping. So you come home, you've brought the shopping in, you've just laid the shopping out, and the robots, both of them working in tandem, took the shopping and could work out what goes in the fridge and what goes in a cupboard and put it away. And they actually
Don't forget to mention that they had not seen those items before.
No,
they had to work it out. They were using shared AI to work out where those items would best be stored. And they did that in real time.
Yes.
on camera, which was, well, I mean, if as long as it's genuine, but it was a gentleman from that company. I think, I don't
It
know.
was, yeah. It was a demonstration from
It was
the
a
company, but
demonstration,
he
yeah.
did bring out the food, and people did question, well, he's brought the food out of the bag. Okay. He didn't show us that the robots took the food out the bag itself. He took the food out and laid it on the side, but they sorted it. They took the items, having never seen them before, worked it out. Even eggs they picked up. They realized after looking at it, obviously the AI recognized it was an egg, and then that's the first time they saw it. It was an egg in a box, and they were gentle with it, opened it up, and then they put that in the right place as well. So this was technology now. It's available now. And I made the claim to Teo off air that this will be something that we will have, well, it'll be available for a lot of people within 5 years. So when Teo is mentioned about we should be thankful to our children because they would be looking after the older generation, don't be surprised when we're in an old people's home, it's manned by robots where the only, the couple of people are humans. The majority of the, in quotes, people doing the day-to-day stuff will be autonomous robots because they can operate 24/7.
Yep.
You can have multiple of them. You buy them, they charge themselves up. Now, granted, these robots only had a battery of 3 hours each.
Yeah,
so
still.
they would have to
Early
work
days.
it out. They would then have to charge themselves.
Yeah,
and then come
basically,
back.
you're saying 3-hour shifts.
Yeah.
So you have 4 robots. Sorry, how many? What? No, 24 divided by 3 is actually 8. You have, is it? Yeah. You actually have 8 robots. And then the battery power gets better and better. Or they have flaws. When they go over the flaws, they charge themselves. Sort
Yeah,
of
there's
thing.
going to be methods of doing it. Even though the 2 other technologies this week, I know we're digressing slightly, but this is quite relevant to this topic. Strangely enough, 2 technologies this very week that have been announced. One is a film, and it's a plastic sheet, very bendy, whatever, and it's basically, it simulates solar cells, and it's 200 times more efficient than the current solar panels that a lot of people have on their roofs. And you can stick it on windows, you can stick it on the top of a car, you can stick it on lampposts because it's bendy. So you'd be able to get energy from anywhere, literally. And the other one was something which was revolutionary, really, by a Canadian company that they're repurposing spent nuclear material and using it to make batteries that last 50 years.
Yeah, I've read about that before. And there are a lot of questions about, isn't it still contaminant?
No,
Isn't it still contaminant?
no, because they put it through a 24-hour process where they remove the radioactive elements of the contamination. They remove the spent uranium or plutonium that they use. And what's left is a charged material that's enough to generate battery power, and it could be for 50 years. Now, the cell is protected, but it's not radioactive because at the moment, the cells will only produce power for small devices like phones.
Yes, that's right. Yes, I remember. It was really it was microscopic power.
Yeah.
But it lasts for a blooming long time, though.
50 years. So you literally could have, for instance, a clock on a wall that never needs charging. You'd have a mobile phone that would never need charging, or at the very least, it will be the lifetime of the watch. The phone, you throw it away, you buy another one fully charged, and that's it. So that'll be the sort of technology that's coming forward. And then using that with the robots in some capacity, you've then got robots that can last for days without recharging. And there we have the problem resolved for old people's homes, where you've got robots that can literally operate 24/7 and be at the beck and call of people either in their homes or in old people's homes. So the benefit system, which is now getting back to the topic that we're discussing.
Hooray!
There is a lot of money, part of the benefit system, that's used on old people's homes and things like that. and care in the community and all the rest of it. So these are people that do deserve, or you don't like me using
Well, they
that
might have
term.
deserved because they worked all their lives. They
Worked
paid
all their lives.
taxes.
Now they're old.
Now they're
Now
old
they
and they need looking after.
They need looking after, and so the benefits are used in this capacity.
Apparently,
But
yeah.
if the biggest cost for benefits is manpower,
Yeah.
so if that can be resolved with robotics, then the taxpayer will be paying less. Well, we hope, to the government in order to meet some of these benefits in the future. So more funds will be available for other things within government, or the tax that we pay by some miracle may actually be less in the future. But that remains to be seen.
Yeah, I don't believe that for a second. Okay, so I'm going to say one thing, and then if I remember, I'll go back to what I was about to say. I'm interrupting myself. I've sent you a link because it turns out it wasn't 30% of what I said. There was a 3 in it, but it was 3 million children.
What?
That's a BBC. You believe in the BBC, don't you? So that's a BBC report that I sent you. And in the UK, it actually looks like there's 9.3 million individuals face hunger and hardship. So that's
ridiculous.
Astonishing for what are we, 60 million, 65 million in the country?
We're the supposedly seventh richest country on the planet.
That's very hard to do.
218.
I hope we're going to do an episode on tax, because I just found out the train of taxes that we endure. And I want to actually make sure that people hear, because I think when people figure out exactly how we're being stiffed, I think, really it's just not good enough. Anyway, back to this topic. So there we are. So not every one of those 9.3 million are wastrels. Quite a lot of them would be, the word we like to use, deserving of assistance. But at what point are we going to be unable to look after them? And I'm going to do a little bit of digging, hopefully in real time, because I'm really concerned about all these people coming in and illegally, put up in hotels. And are you aware that, because this is from a horse's mouth, this is from the owner of a 3-star hotel, I believe it was, in Devon or Cornwall, something like this. He's the owner of the 3-star hotel, and he is paid 60 million a year for his hotel rooms outright. 60 million.
60 million? How many hotel rooms has he got?
I don't know. I can't tell you. I'll try to find out.
So it's basically exclusive for
asylum
yes. seekers waiting to be processed.
And they said the money doesn't even filter down into the economy, because they told me to lay off all my workers.
To lay off all his workers?
Yep. He was told to lay off all his workers.
Why?
Meals. They don't need meals, because Meals on Wheels provides all their meals. That's another contract.
So they're just using his hotel as
a
lodge.
Yes.
A lodging, yeah.
Yeah.
And he's compensated handsomely for it.
He's compensated handsomely for it. Obviously, 60 million is going to go. A lot of it's going to go back in taxes, but all the same, yeah.
Wow.
And they said even his best ever season, he only made about 16 or 17 million all year, because you never have 100% occupancy.
No.
Yeah.
So he's being paid basically 3 or 4 times, 3 times maybe, what he would have got in his best season ever, so that he keeps the hotel open for asylum seekers.
Correct.
Okay. Now, is that
that's British taxpayers' money? How is that in any way, sense, or form reasonable?
What do you do though? Okay, we're moving slightly, and
it's still people on benefits.
Yeah.
Now, okay, they're not. By the way, they do get an allowance for cigarettes and things. By the way.
Yeah, I know.
Mm-hmm. So really,
basic human needs they get. That's what it's classed as.
So this is the problem, that when you hear stories like that, even the deserving are going to
They're
get
edge
hit.
cases,
They're going to get
though,
whacked.
aren't they? I know
Sorry?
but they are more edge cases. I mean, if we had to look at the number of people coming into the country, I want to see those figures. I've the illegal ones being processed, and what then
Nigel
happened.
Farage got into trouble for trying to figure it out, didn't he?
Yeah,
when he
and
went
then
to the
what
coast?
happens to those people when they get processed?
Yeah.
What happens to them? Do they
As
then become a
I understand
taxpayer?
it, I know you're going. Well, that's the plan. That's the idea.
Yeah.
But as I understand it, a lot of them are not going to pass the test for staying here, so they abscond. They just walk out and just don't come back again, and they're out there somewhere.
See, how can that happen? You see, that's the thing.
Well, they're not in prison; they're in a hotel, so they just don't come back. So as they're getting closer and closer to the time where they'll be told, sorry, you've got to go back, and they're aware of this, you're not going to show up for the meeting where they're going to tell you, well, forget the hotel room, into detention now and then back onto a plane or something. Obviously, they're not going to do that. It's ordinary common sense.
Yeah, but they should be in detention if they're illegally here. I know
Well,
you
yeah,
get
they
rights. You get no, but you get rights. You get accommodation. You get food, but you get detained. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
That's
I
how
know.
it should be. So that last bit, the detaining bit, must happen. Surely, I'm not sure they can just walk away.
No, they can't walk
doesn't-
away. They do walk away. They leg it, and then another person takes their place. Now, wait, you see, I don't think so. Why all this became an issue and why I know about it is because someone on YouTube or Useless Tube or whatever was saying he doesn't believe it's an accident. Now, first of all, you think these people are idiots, and then you start thinking to yourself, no, nobody is that stupid. And it then becomes a question of follow the money. Do you see? So maybe he's a conspiracy theorist. Maybe we should do a conspiracy show on it. But in that particular instance, just this little narrow instance of the illegal aliens, there's money to be made.
How? I don't see how. This is a money waste.
Well, they're paying this guy 60 million.
Yeah, he's being paid way more than what he should. Let's be
Right.
fair, but he's
I
got
wonder
rid of his
if-
staff. Maybe does the 60 million cover payments that he's had to pay off his staff because he's made him all redundant? Quite possibly. That should be
No, not every
ample.
year, surely, not year by year.
Oh, I
You don't-
see. He's paid it yearly.
Yearly.
Okay,
All right.
that
So
sounds
yearly-
rather excessive, even
Yeah,
from a
so-
government point of view.
Well, you see, if you're in the government and the 60 million is accounted for as 70 million, catch my drift.
That's been. I mean, yes, fraud happens clearly, but there's more checks and balances than that.
No,
I think
you'd
we're
hope
doing
so.
them a
But if everybody and his
disservice here.
brother's in on it, you know what
I'm
they
not
say in
sure
Nigeria.
There's that much fraud.
You know what they say in Nigeria? If you steal 100 million, you're an idiot and you're going to prison. If you steal 10 billion, you're a good chap and we'll see you around the corner this evening because there's enough to go around. And that sense of there's enough to go around. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, we'll do a show on it because I don't want to get sidetracked too far. We'll do a show on it. I think we should. And
Yeah.
I'll track down where that guy was talking about it. And I believe it's worth looking into. So back to our subject here. That was the first thing is this issue of deserve, right?
Yeah.
Then there's this issue of we actually should, like you said, reform the system, right? Because if you're on, now very specifically, if you're on drugs, there are two trains of thought. One is the right wing, it's your fault, you got to man up, you got to be serious, blah, 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 you stop being, and then the other is the leftist idea that, look, this is a disease, it's not something, it's hardship, it's circumstances. People take drugs in order to cope with difficult circumstances. Nobody, they're not
It's
druggies.
an addiction. It's
And
anyone's,
then it
yeah.
forms an addiction.
Yeah.
First of all, you're escaping from your harsh reality, and then it becomes an addiction.
Yeah.
I've just been prescribed, I don't know, I'm telling my medical secrets. I've just been prescribed a pill, and I was reading it because when a doctor prescribes something, please go on the internet and find out what the hell they just prescribed you. So I did. I went and did a little bit of research on it, and it says, well, yeah, if you use it for a long term, you can't just stop it because you get withdrawal symptoms. And I was like, what? Okay, I don't want to get into something where I'm going to get withdrawal symptoms, okay? So I'm going to have to write back to my surgery and say, yeah, I also this about withdrawal symptoms. Nobody ever said anything about withdrawal symptoms, man. Okay?
You can wean off it. You just stagger it, don't you?
Gee, have
instead
you
of
seen how
having it
fat
every
I
day.
am? If I could wean off it, I don't wean off the hamburgers, man. I'm not going to have two things I have to wean off myself off.
Oh, dear.
Goodness. So seriously, how do we? There are opportunities to help people if we target that kind of attitude. But in a lot of cases, here's the money and I'm naff off. And I'm wondering, like Trump just did in the U.S.
Oh,
some
don't.
kind of benefit, I don't know what it's exactly called. I knew, but I didn't write it down, unfortunately. Some benefit that women get, well, actually, parents, the parent who has custody of the children, after they get some kind of relief or something, okay? And he's made it now that that money can't be spent on junk food, chocolates, or sweets.
Good on him.
Now
I actually agree if that's true.
it's not the basic benefit. It's an add-on.
Right.
So when all the women got up and said, "Oh, you can't do that," because they can't buy cigarettes, by the way, and stuff like that with it.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
see,
Good.
it's a credit card now. You can't use it to buy something. And like,
Perfect.
oh, why? Oh, this misogynist and like that. It's like, lady, first of all, you're not meant to be depending solely on this. It's to add on to your effort,
Yes.
your work effort, because they recognize there's a shortfall between what you could earn, especially if you're looking after young ones,
Yeah.
and what you need. And this is supposed to fill in that shortfall.
Yes.
And it's not meant to be for you to buy wine and cigarettes,
No.
right? Okay. So the intelligently targeting things like this, we can give, for example, my solution would be, well, let's not hand over money. Let's hand over a card.
Coupons or a card, a Visa card.
Maybe
that's
even
limited.
coupons. Yeah, so that it can only spend it on
Yes.
XYZ. Coupons, I'm a bit worried about. I think people sell it, like
Yeah.
black marketers.
No, but a card, a Visa card or an
Mhm.
app. You see what you can do, which you can do with technology even now. You're absolutely right, because that was something I was going to suggest. In fact,
Oh.
was so we're on the same wavelength.
Oh God.
No. A card, a Visa card that has a allowable list on it.
Mm-hmm.
And the list, so the card will not work in certain establishments and only work in others. So there's a fund on the card, and so that you can use it for certain items in certain shops, but you can't use it you can't go into a betting shop or
Exactly.
something like that. It just won't work
Yeah.
because it's restricted. This technology is actually available now for children. Did you know?
Oh, I'd imagine so. They can't spend.
Yeah, the idea being is that parents link a credit card to a child, and they can then top the card up so the child can spend it on, you give them rewards based on work. So if they do jobs around the house, you're teaching them work ethic, which is positive. You can say, well, okay, these are the jobs. If you do these, there's a reward for you. There's an extra £1 or £2, and the child can pick what they do. And so they do a particular job, they then get rewarded, and then they get a top up to their money. And this is a similar thing that could be brought to adults, so that it gives them some incentive to either top up their benefits still further, but gives them some accountability on themselves, and also gives them some sort of,
Self-worth.
yeah, self-worth, because they're doing something and then getting rewarded for it. So it's removing the stigma in a way of just receiving handouts for some people.
Our
That
country
you're
is too.
earning it.
Our country is too nannyish. It's too rules based. It's too invasive of people's ability to self-regulate and be responsible. I can imagine a situation where you say, if you take money and if you volunteer, for example, to just sweep the roads, for example, and in some kind of scheme, let me engage in flights of fancy. We flood the country with cameras. So the camera will pick you up, facial recognition will pick you up cleaning the street, right? And then that will automatically credit your card, with money or something. Like I said, allow me, okay? The thing is, in this country, we'll say, yeah, but before you do that, go and get steel-capped boots, right? Get yourself a high-vis vest. Go and get yourself trained, which is going to cost you £350 or something. Do you understand what I'm saying? You could, entrepreneurial instinct is tamped down because at every corner there are all these blooming rules and regulations that prevent people from just doing stuff,
spontaneous,
and just
be creative and
being creative and making a difference and going out there and making a difference. Everything is you can't do that. You need to speak to the council. Oh well, I'm very sorry. Just great idea, fantastic idea, but
yes, it's health and safety and all that stuff would certainly put the brakes on a lot of things. Well, this is why America have got some. Well, they have got better opportunity for startups because there are not so many of these rules and regulations in place. Although there are a lot more opportunity to take people in,
to poison the waters of
yes.
What's that town where the water is filthy and you can't even drink it. It comes out of the tap, mostly brown.
Flint, is it?
Flint. It's I don't know what state it's in, but you look at and people have been complaining about this thing, and it's still filthy. It's unbelievable. It's like, can't you guys do something about it? Well, so okay, what problems? There's this expression here. There should be no free handouts for self-inflicted dependency. That's a really lovely phrase. That self-inflicted dependency. Now, that is the right-wing way of looking at it.
Okay.
The other way of looking at it is struggling with addiction, trapped in cycles of poverty and desperation. So those are the two arms. That's the dialectic. That's the argument, basically.
Yes.
And I wonder, I like objective standards. So is there any objective way of discriminating what's what and who's who? The reason I gave up is I've been thinking about it, and I haven't been able to come up with an objective standard that discriminates.
If somebody is able-bodied, that's you need to sort of factor that in. Able-bodied meaning they're not got any mental health issues, they haven't got any physical disability.
You can't see mental health issues. Anybody can claim mental health issues.
Indeed, they can, but
it's not objective. I mean, unless you can do a brain scan and say, yeah, okay, for the brain scan. But that's very expensive, and can you really?
It is, you're right. But is that on its own enough to mean that you now don't have to have the checks and balances? Because at the end of the day, we are all accountable for our own actions. And we, as a fundamental, we are. As adults, we are accountable for our actions. You can be led astray, of course you can, but ultimately you still make that choice. And vulnerable people could be led astray. But as you've said, if they've chosen a dependency, which is what we're talking about here, because let's be honest, drug, alcohol, tobacco, vaping, these are dependencies that someone has chosen to follow at some point. Now,
well, drinking can get out of hand.
Yes.
Drinking, you never, very first time you took a drink.
None of these start with as becoming an addiction. None of them do.
Exactly. But it helps. A little drink helps. You're thinking about your bills, and you take a sip, and then you're thinking about your bills.
Does it help? See, that's a misconception in itself. It doesn't help.
Well, if it didn't help, I don't think they'd take another sip, would they?
No, but they believe that it does, because all it's doing is hiding from the reality.
So for some time, they just want the thoughts, the stress to go away. This drinking yourself to oblivion.
An alternative is to do a sport, do something, do exercise, get your dopamine up from a different method. And a lot of these vices are because people are seeking that dopamine. and they believe that this is what's been the way they've done it in the past. This is something that will work going forward. But it's a misconception, because alcohol may make you feel good short term, but it doesn't actually improve anything. It's a mask. It's
especially
masking.
with a hangover.
Yeah, it's a mask. There are better alternatives that still give you the dopamine hit and aren't, damaging.
That's not really realistic, though, is it? I mean,
it is realistic, I'm afraid,
no, I mean,
but it is.
I mean, like I told you, I'm fat, man. I mean, I know I should get out there and run around and do this and do that.
No, you don't have to run around. You can go for a walk. Simple.
Yeah,
if you can't walk, and you got a problem.
Yeah, I can't walk. I do have a problem. That's why I was given that pill, which apparently I'm going to have to withdraw from or something. So there are issues. Not everyone.
No, I'm not saying everyone. This is the whole point. We can't say everyone.
I'm the one showing more empathy now.
Yeah, you are.
See?
Because people can pull themselves out of.
It's not easy. I'm saying it's not easy.
Nobody ever said it was easy.
Are you going to pay for personal trainers and whatnot who go around to houses, which probably would be more cost effective, and get them up and running? Somebody knocking on my door and saying, "Okay, come on, let's go. Come on now, let's do," things like that, or a group. So that
group would definitely work. If you have a group of people, you're more accountable to the group, and you're more likely to stick with it than if you.
That's it. So you get your benefits by showing up to the group thing, and at least making an effort in the group thing. If your supervisor says, "Yeah, okay, he didn't really, do the full 5K, but he did 1.5," and they say, "Well, okay, give him his best shot. We're looking for improvement." Yeah. So you're always looking for improvement. You don't have to do the 5K. But can you do a little bit more than you did last time? Are you showing up? Stuff like that. So here you are.
Exactly, accountability. And that can be brought in, and there's nothing wrong with that. It actually gives people more self-worth, strangely. So it is worthwhile. You're actually improving your mental health by doing things like that. So it's a win-win. Not only are you participating and you're getting out of the house and you're doing activities, you're also mixing with other people, which we humans are social creatures at the end of the day. You're improving your well-being, and you are getting some dopamine if you are doing exercise. If you get a little bit out of breath, that releases dopamine. It's also good for your heart and your cardiovascular. So even walking up and down the stairs to get out of breath is actually improving your state of affairs. It actually, strangely enough, cardio surgeon mentioned this. I may have mentioned this on the show previously, but it's well worth mentioning again. If you get out of breath 5 days out of 7 per week, you reduce the risk of a cardiovascular or a cardiac episode by 400%.
Trust me, bro, or you've got some stats for me to look at.
That is
study.
That has come from a cardiologist firsthand. I heard.
Yeah, but he could be this lovely.
Why
American
would
expression.
he be giving me duff information like
that? Because he goes home and he tells his wife, and the two of them snigger. And then they get a leg over and they get off on thinking about fooling poor old Tony.
No.
What a weird.
By getting out of breath.
I'm going to hold you to your own standard. I'm going to need to see some evidence. You make the claim, see some evidence. So what you do is you call your friend, your doctor, cardiologist, whatever, and say, "I got this blooming podcast guy, and he's going on about it." And so can I have the name of that study, please? That's all you need, the reference. And then we'll have a look at it. And then we can add it to the blurb and people can see for themselves. I've sent you a link. Okay. And this is so that this is welfare benefits and drug use. And it's a lovely for and against inspection of the arguments.
Okay.
So I think a lot of people would benefit, well, not benefit, a lot of people might enjoy.
Okay.
Having this, hey, well, this is what these people say. That's what it's like. I like the way that it inspects the question and shows some of the nuances and difficulties. It's not an easy question, to be honest.
Yeah.
As people love to say, it's complicated.
You see, unemployment benefit, for instance, that is only paid if people show evidence where they've actually gone to try and apply for jobs.
Yep.
So there is a way of managing that. But whereas other benefits, it's slightly harder to ensure that people are following the right steps that we're proposing here. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to also, I mean, these people, some of them are in a vulnerable position and they're already feeling rubbish. If we're then asking them to sort of do this extra vetting, it's like their dignity is being challenged. Because
Your dignity being challenged is something you're going to have to cope with, I'm afraid, because basically you are on welfare.
Yeah, I know. But
Well, it shouldn't stigmatize. So no one's going. I mean, if you make people wear an orange vest and walk on the streets in a chain gang, then yeah, that's obviously wrong. Nobody would want to be in that situation. But I don't see why it should be so egregious. Why has it got to be done that way? You can still have some circumspection and let people, deal with the issues in a dignified way. And like I said, a lot of these things, I would love to see them as being more or less voluntary. You don't have to go to the group thing. Then you just get the very basic minimum. Show up to the group thing, you get a little bit more.
Yeah. No,
do the activities, you get even more. And then hopefully that inspires you to say, you know what, I can actually get a job as a dishwasher doing this. I don't need this.
Yeah.
And by the way, the other thing is
benefits. Yeah.
The other thing is, there's this very stupid, I don't know who the hell came up with this dumb system. There's this very stupid fact of British, I don't know about the British one, the British benefit system, which is where if you earn X amount with the benefits, if you go a pound over, you lose your blooming benefits. So you're worse off. Well, there's some kind of cutoff where you might be doing 16 hours of work or whatever it is.
Oh, that's right. 16 hours of work a week. If you do more than that, you're earning money and you're only allowed to work up to 16 hours a week, which then entitles
if you let people work more, right, and then reduce their benefits just a little bit, but it's not. It's like an all or nothing. There's like a switch.
I know, which doesn't make
it's bonkers.
Sense.
Why would people want to do extra work and then lose the pay? If you made it graded, and very gently, just like, okay, well, so like you do a little bit more, okay, 95% of your benefits now you still get. You do more, 90% of your so that the person doesn't miss it. Exactly. And they're not thinking, and they're looking at, actually, if I work even more, and there'll be more in my pocket for doing the work than not. And if you slant it like that, people will definitely want to work and get back into the work.
You'd think so. I'll give you an example. This is a example of a real life scenario that happened to me. A few years ago now, I was helping people get off their feet and
get off their feet
and earn a bit of extra money. So
get off their feet.
Get on their feet.
Get on their feet.
Get on their feet. Earn a bit of extra money, and I was visiting different people who were looking to earn a bit extra to supplement their income. And I remember going to a couple's house where they were both unemployed, and the husband actually wanted to earn some money, but he wasn't, I don't want to be disingenuous to him, but he wasn't the brightest person, but he could earn some money. And I showed him what he could do, and he was quite keen because it meant he could walk around the local area distributing magazines, and he earned some money for it. And if he got quite good at it, his money would go up. Yeah, so it's tiered. So he was like quite keen. Oh, I can do that. I could put my headset on. I could just walk around all these magazines and deliver them through doors, and I can earn some money. So that was good. And his wife overheard the conversation, and she said, how much could he earn doing that? I said, well, the sky's the limit, I suppose. It depends how hard he wants to work. It's tiered in that manner. So the more he does, the more he can earn. He said, oh, no, he's not doing that. I said, why not?
Right.
And she said, well, if he earns more than £200, then we'll have to pay our own rent. So no, not doing that.
We'll have to pay our own rent.
Our own rent.
Yeah.
Because if he earned £200, then the benefits would stop.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. And
Why
it
would
was
the benefits
first-hand.
stop?
It was
It's
like,
ridiculous.
What? Yeah, it would mean that their benefits would stop. So there's no point in him doing it. It's like, what? So he wanted to do it, but because of this thing
The
that you've already
cost-benefit
highlighted,
analysis,
yeah,
the cost-benefit analysis isn't in his favor.
No.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So rather than saying, you're going to lose your rent. So let's say the rent is, I don't know, £500, okay,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever. And right now you've got £500 on your rent, and maybe I don't know what it was they're giving them in benefits. But you were to get £200, we might take off, say, £50 from your rent.
yeah.
So now
your incentive to earn £200, you'll get 150. Yeah, exactly.
Get 150.
Yeah.
Now, if you can get £300, okay, we're going to take another 50 off.
Yeah.
But now, do you see what I mean?
Yes.
And
So
you keep doing that until the guy is actually earning 1,000, and
Exactly.
he doesn't care
He
about your
doesn't need
500.
the rent. Yeah, exactly. Rent money. But
And then
this
you
is
get people back.
the way that the system is geared, as
Yep.
you rightly say, doesn't encourage people to go and work.
Absolutely.
It's tiered in such a way that people do want to sit on their hands and go, well, I might as well stay at home. What's the
Yep.
point? And you're right, that needs looking at, and surely that could be addressed and improved. But where's the will? It doesn't seem to be. It's such a big beast. There doesn't seem to be a will to actually want to fix it. Oh, blimey, we're nearly at the top of the hour. Do you have anything else to add, or any
I'd say
closing
that
thoughts?
I'd say that where we've arrived at this point at which we've arrived is quite a revelation, in that it doesn't have to be a simple argument between a sort of right wing to heck with these wastrels, and a left wing bleeding heart and all they all deserve thing. It actually looks like the main problem is the way the system is set up, and that there could be a more sensible way to arrange the system so that everyone's concerns are taken care of.
Absolutely.
I think that's the revelation, to be honest.
Technology would certainly help, like you've said, with this Visa card that that would sort of prevent the abuses of the income that there's been provided. Certainly that would be something in place. But you're right, the benefit system itself, it can't be, if you've gone over a certain threshold, it's removed completely.
It's ridiculous.
It should be encouraging, like you say, in some tiered manner. But then obviously that takes effort to set up. Have they got the will to do it? And this is part of the problem. The same with NHS. They know they have to fix the NHS, but because it's such a big beast, can they? And they don't have the will to do it, and so they don't. They put sticking plasters on it, and this is all that's happening. So will we ever fix this problem? Will we ever get round it and solve the problem?
We are getting poorer all the time. We are getting, as a nation,
I think so.
We are growing poorer. So I tell my students, when 10, 15 years from now, you might not have access to benefits. Now, you might think back to, there was this tall black guy who was teaching me, and he did warn me, and I didn't listen, and I'm really sorry I didn't listen, because here we are, what he predicted. I think people got to get their thumb out, and they've got to understand that, the party is over, guys.
Indeed. Okay, if you've loved this episode, hit subscribe and stay tuned for more deep dives into prophecies, mysteries, and the unexpected twists of fate. You've listened to Tony and Tayo. We are the TNT Talk Show, but unfortunately, we have reached the end of the show for another week.